Hello, my name is Joe Flack, software engineer, and I wanted to demonstrate an app that I made recently, share it with you today. It's called CarePath. Um, this is something that I'm showing off to demonstrate some of my abilities, and also this is the kind of thing that I'm looking to work on. These kind of technologies are really starting to show up in the field, but they couldn't show up soon enough, really, to be honest. So this is the kind of stuff that I would like to work on and see in the world. This particular app is pretty simple. We have a database loaded with some synthetic data, some synthetic patient data, and you speak to a large language model and you ask it medical questions. In this case, it's just accessing these synthetic records and just answering, basically history questions based on what you have in your record. Um, so we have a variety of different endpoints that are available that are queried and the large language model has access to, such as the basic patient info, their encounters, such as with their physician, claims, and documents that they might have on file. Um, Basically, yeah, that is the one feature is the chat. You can also see your previous chat history with the LLM, and you can change the mode here. So this actually has some self-hosting and some hosting on Hugging Face. I've actually got different versions deployed. This version right now is on Amazon Web Services, running on Kubernetes. And this is just using the hosted large language model. And right now it's a little bit slower. There's a caching issue. But this was the result from when I ran it a little bit earlier today, asking a question about, can you tell me what my lab results were at my last appointment? And also a second question, can you tell me if I currently have any unpaid claims? The response is kind of like, weird. The LLM is responding here, but this is just a demo. There's not really a system prompt that's formatting the LLM's response. But you can see it answers both of those questions. Um, yeah, this takes a while again due to that caching issue, but I'll just fire off another one and see if that completes within the demo. Probably won't because it takes about 5 minutes to load the model from scratch. But this Hugging Face version is already warmed up. You can see I asked it a question, three questions here. Do you have access to chat logs? What was the last question I asked you? Do you have any medications listed on my file? And then what was the last lab I got in my appointment? What was the reading for that lab? And you can see that the LLM here answered very quickly within 1 second of inference. And it was able to answer all the three of those questions. It doesn't have access to the chat logs. That's not something that I exposed to it, but it does see that the patient's on metformin, and it sees that the last lab test they got was for hemoglobin A1C, and it's got the reading right there. And I can ask another question maybe just to demonstrate. Um, do you know my physician? I'm not actually sure that data is in there. What is their name? And what was my last appointment about? That was super fast. Um, yeah, you can see again the formatting. Yeah, Dr. Jane Smith. Okay, so I did actually populate the synthetic data with that. And then it shows when the last appointment was, got the diagnosis, and it even talks about that lab there as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out actually. So I guess I'll talk about the stack a little bit here. So what you're looking at is a React front end. It's using Tailwind CSS. For my database, I'm using Mongo, and that's what's loaded here. You can see the Mongo interface with some of these different endpoints and some of the documents that are loaded into it. We've got for the backend, we've got Python running two different services. We've got the database wrapped in a fast API, and we also have the chat service, and that's wrapped in a fast API as well. And as I mentioned, this service, it can be configured, or it is configured right now to, toggle between what the user has selected here, and it'll route the request to Hugging Face, or it'll route to the self-hosted LLM that's hosted on AWS. Um, We've also got some load testing here. So we've got a bunch of tooling for the project as well. This is just some testing that I ran just recently to see, if there were errors in some of the endpoints, what the response time was. So Got some tooling there. Let me show you a little bit about the back end and how it works, or rather the infrastructure. Um, so here's just a big basic architecture diagram. That's what I just showed you. We've got the React app talks to this service API, and then that talks to the database API, and then that talks to Mongo. And the service chat, it'll also talk directly to the LLM, and then it's got this Pinecone here. That's a vector database that we currently don't have, but that would be for some other kinds of queries, such as patient similarity, encounter similarity, etc. Um, we have a bunch of different commands. So a lot of them here, 600 lines of makefile commands. This covers everything from setup. As you can see, there's also like extensive documentation for this. Um, Everything from setup, how to install the app, how to build it on Docker, how to push it to EKS. We've got infrastructure set up. This is actually using IAC, infrastructure as code. So we have all of this written in Terraform. So the um, the services, all of the AWS boilerplate, the container, uh, all that stuff here is here using infrastructure as code. And that there's just some commands on how to deploy that. We've got different Kubernetes ops here, so you can check the status of the containers, get the URLs of the running pods, list them. We even have some commands here that help scale up and down. Um, right now, it's just running on one pod each of each service, just for cost savings. And then I have some convenience commands here to do rollbacks as well to previous versions in case anything goes wrong. Bunch of different stuff here. Helper commands, front end commands, load testing commands. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much the app and the architecture and everything. Some future improvements, some things that I haven't done quite yet. By the way, this has been like maybe like 4 or 5 days of work. Just getting this demo together. I use spec-driven development using Claude Code. A lot of that is running here, as you can see. So yeah, it gets done very fast. It's been a lot that's been achieved here in a short time. But still, yeah, there's a lot that I didn't get in for this demo that I wanted to put out there. Uh, Vector database. So this I would choose Pinecone. And this would be for improved full text search. MongoDB has it, but you're going to get better results sometimes with a vector database. And also you can do, different kinds of similarity queries using embeddings. So there would be a create embedding service that would take, for example, we'd do some feature engineering on like patients, for example, some different aspects of the patient. If we wanted to see, different similarities between patients, some other things we could do are, labs, diagnoses, etc. So that would be a really cool feature to have. MCP, so we're using RAG, Resource Augmented Generation. So the queries get sent to the database to extract relevant information about the patient before the LLM sees the user's query. MCP would be changing that. So this would be letting the agent decide, what, given the patient's query, what endpoints do I want to query? How do I want to query them? So this would be an improvement. And there's different options for that. So fast MCP is a way to build your custom MCPs. So right now I wouldn't have a need for that with my stack. I would just use the Pinecone and Mongo MCPs, but this is also a good option if extra features are layered on top of these databases with custom functionality, then this would be the go-to MCP. PHI scrubbing, this is a healthcare app. So PHI protection is very important. So this would be useful to have for logging and potentially maybe even some stuff we wouldn't want past the LLM as well. So that would be pretty good to have. Right now, as I mentioned, the app is kind of slow. Load testing results show that, it could use some improvements. So I would scale it out currently, just being a demo. Don't want to spend too much, but that's one of the next things I would do. Also improve metrics. So right now I have got like this load testing report, for example, that I was showing earlier. But I would want to set up a dashboard to see like P95 latency, error rates, and so on. And then Helm releases would be another. These are just the ones that I had at the top of my head as like the next things that I wanted to do. So this would be putting the entire stack as a release, so you can roll back and roll forward parts of the stack one at a time, or sorry, all at once rather than one at a time. So that's CarePath. Hope you liked it. I think, maybe give it a few years and maybe my chart and some other popular applications are going to have this kind of technology. I think it's really great. I love LLMs. So the more we can use them in healthcare, within reason, within safe reason, the better, I think. So thanks for listening and have a good day.